For almost 20 years, Michael lived a life that looked like failure from the outside. Every morning, he woke up at 6 a.m., took a crowded bus, and went to a small office where nobody noticed him. His job paid just enough to survive. No respect, no promotion, no pras. People often forgot his name. When Michael was younger, he had dreams, big ones. He wanted to build something meaningful. He wanted to prove that he was not ordinary. But life did not follow his plans. At 25, he failed his first business idea. At 30, he lost most of his savings trying again. At 35, his friends were buying houses while he was still renting a small room. People around him started asking uncomfortable questions. Why are you still here? When will you succeed? Maybe this is not for you. Michael smiled and said nothing. Silence became his shield. Inside, the pain was loud. Every night, he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about time. Years passing, opportunities gone, youth slowly leaving. He felt late. Late for success, late for respect, late for life. Impatience became his biggest enemy. He tried to rush results. He jumped from one idea to another. He watched motivational videos, read books, followed advice. But nothing worked fast enough. The world rewarded quick wins, and Michael had none. At 38, something broke inside him. One evening, after another long day, he sat alone in a small cafe. Around him, people laughed, talked about vacations, promotions, new beginnings. Michael looked at his reflection in the dark window. 20 years, he whispered. 20 years and nothing to show. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel the full weight of failure. But something strange happened next. Instead of anger, he felt calm. A deep, quiet calm. He realized he was tired. Not of failing, but of fighting time. Of comparing his life to others. Of running without direction. That night, Michael made a small decision. Not a dramatic one. Not a promise to become rich or famous. Just this. I will stop chasing fast success. I will choose patience. He did not know it yet, but this quiet decision would slowly change everything. Because sometimes success does not come early. Sometimes it waits to see who stays. After that quiet decision, Michael did not feel suddenly strong or inspired. Nothing magical happened. The next morning, his alarm rang at 6 a.m. again. The same bus, the same office, the same invisible life. But something inside him was different. Michael stopped asking, "Why am I late?" He started asking, "What can I build slowly?" This was not easy. Patience sounds beautiful in quotes, but in real life, it hurts. Every day, he saw reminders of his past failures. Emails he never sent. Ideas he abandoned too early. Notes in old notebooks that once felt full of hope. Sometimes, impatience came back like a storm. You are wasting time. Others are already successful. You are too old to start again. Michael did not fight these thoughts aggressively. He did something new. He let them pass. Instead of chasing big results, he focused on small, boring actions. Every evening, after work, he spent 1 hour learning. No pressure, no deadlines, just 1 hour. Some days he studied business basics. Other days he learned about systems, habits, and long-term thinking. Progress was slow, painfully slow. Weeks passed, then months. Nothing changed on the outside. No promotion, no applause, no money growth. People still saw him as the same Michael. And this was the hardest part. Late success tests your ego. At 40, Michael attended a family gathering. Relatives asked the same questions again. "So, what are you doing now? Any big plans? You've been trying for years, right?" Michael smiled politely. Inside, he felt the familiar pressure. For a moment, he wanted to quit again. To accept an average life and stop dreaming. To finally rest from hope. That night, doubt returned stronger than before. He opened his old journal and read a sentence he once wrote. "I don't fear failure. I fear quitting too early." That sentence stopped him. Michael realized something important. Most people do not fail because they are bad. They fail because they stop when progress becomes invisible. Late success is lonely because no one claps while you are preparing. So Michael continued. He removed distractions. He stopped talking about his plans. He stopped expecting quick rewards. He trusted the process, even when the process gave him nothing back. Slowly, patience stopped feeling like punishment. It started feeling like control. He was no longer running. He was walking, steady, focused, and calm. He still had no success. But for the first time in 20 years, he had direction. And direction changes everything. Months passed, and Michael's life still looked the same from the outside. Same job, same small apartment, same routine. If someone asked him, "Has anything changed?" the honest answer was, "Not much." But inside, something important was happening. Michael had built a system. Every morning, he woke up at the same time. Every evening, he studied or worked on his idea for 1 hour. No excuses, no drama. Some days were easy. Most days were not. There were evenings when his mind felt tired and slow. He would stare at the screen and understand nothing. On those days, impatience whispered again. "This is useless. You are moving too slowly. You should see results by now." But Michael did not stop. He remembered something simple. Progress does not always look like progress. One night, while reviewing his notes, he noticed something strange. Concepts that once confused him now felt familiar. Problems that scared him before now seemed smaller. His thinking had changed. It was quiet progress, invisible progress. No one congratulated him for understanding better. No one paid him more because he was smarter. No one noticed. And this is where most people quit. They work for months, maybe years, and see nothing on the surface. They believe effort without reward is failure. Michael almost believed that too. One weekend, he met an old friend, Alex, who had once started a business and failed quickly. Alex laughed and said, "You're still trying? Man, you're patient. Or maybe just stubborn." Michael smiled. He did not explain anything. For the first time, he didn't feel the need to defend himself. He understood something new. Validation is addictive and dangerous. If people praise you too early, you become dependent on applause. If they doubt you, you learn to stand alone. Michael chose to stand alone. Slowly, his discipline became part of his identity. He no longer asked if he felt motivated. He acted because it was his routine. Then, one small thing happened. At work, his manager asked him to help solve a problem. Something technical, something Michael had studied quietly for months. Michael hesitated. Then he spoke. His solution was simple, clear, logical. The room went quiet. The manager nodded and said, "That actually makes sense." It was not a promotion. It was not success, but it was a signal, a tiny crack in a very long wall. That evening, Michael felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not excitement, not pride, confidence. He realized late success does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives quietly, asking, "Are you ready?" And Michael was becoming ready. Still unknown, still unnoticed, but no longer unprepared. The opportunity came quietly, without warning. One Monday morning, Michael's manager called him into the office. There was no smile, no explanation. "Sit down," the manager said. Michael felt his chest tighten. For years, meetings like this meant bad news. Mistakes, warnings, fear. His mind started creating old stories again. But this time was different. The manager leaned back and said, "We have a new project. It's difficult. Most people don't want it." Michael stayed silent. "We need someone patient, someone who can learn fast, someone who doesn't quit when things get boring." The room felt heavy. Then came the question that changed everything. "Do you want to try?" Michael's first instinct was fear. A voice inside said, "You're not ready. You waited too long. You might fail again." This was the moment many people miss. Not because they are weak, but because they listen to old versions of themselves. Michael remembered the nights of quiet study, the invisible progress, the discipline built without applause. He took a breath. "Yes," he said, "I want to try." The manager nodded. "Good, but I'll be honest. If this fails, it's on you." Michael accepted that. Courage is not confidence without fear. Courage is moving forward while fear watches. The first weeks were hard. The project moved slowly. Mistakes appeared every day. Some colleagues doubted him openly. One co-worker whispered, "Why did they choose him? He's average." Michael heard it. Years ago, those words would have destroyed him. Now, they only reminded him of something important. Average people quit. Consistent people adapt. He asked questions. He studied at night again. He fixed one small problem at a time. Progress was painful but real. One evening, Michael stayed late to review data. The office was empty. The lights felt cold. His eyes burned. He almost stopped. Then he imagined his past self, waiting for motivation, waiting for talent, waiting for permission. Michael closed his laptop, stood up, and whispered to himself, "I didn't wait 20 years to quit now." Weeks later, the project began to stabilize. Not perfect, not impressive, but functional. The manager noticed. "Keep going," he said. "You're doing better than expected." Those words meant more than praise. They meant trust. Michael understood something deep and uncomfortable. Late success demands responsibility. There is no one to blame. No excuses left. If he failed now, it would not be because of time, talent, or luck. It would be because he stopped. And this time, he refused. Success did not come suddenly. That was the hardest part. After the project began to work, nothing exciting happened. No promotion, no big money, no public praise, only more work. Michael realized something painful. Consistency is boring even after it starts to work. Every morning felt the same. Same desk, same tasks, same quiet effort, and patience began to hurt. One night, Michael sat alone at home, scrolling through his phone. Old classmates were posting photos. New cars, new houses, dream job achieved. His chest felt heavy. 20 years of failure suddenly returned like a wave. A dangerous thought appeared. What if this is all I get? That thought is where many people stop. Not because they are lazy, but because hope becomes tired. Michael almost skipped his routine the next day. Almost. But he remembered something important. Discipline does not promise happiness. It promises direction. So he went to work anyway. Days passed, then weeks. Progress was slow. Too slow for the heart, but steady enough for reality. One afternoon, the manager stopped by Michael's desk. "I need you to explain something to the team tomorrow," he said. Michael froze. Public speaking had always terrified him. He had avoided it for years. That night, anxiety returned full force. His mind replayed old failures. Stuttering, forgetting words, looking stupid. He wanted to say no, but then he asked himself one question. If I don't step forward now, when will I? The next day, his hands shook as he stood in front of the room. He spoke slowly, clearly, honestly. Not perfect, but real. Something unexpected happened. People listened. One colleague nodded. Another asked a serious question. After the meeting, someone said, "That actually helped." Michael walked back to his desk in silence. Inside, something shifted. Not excitement, not pride. Permission. Permission to believe he belonged. That evening, he realized something many people never understand. Late success is not loud. It grows quietly inside you. But patience still tested him. Months later, the project faced a serious problem. A mistake that could cost money. The pressure was heavy. The manager said, "We need a solution by tomorrow." Old Michael would have panicked. New Michael stayed late. He worked through the night, checked details, accepted responsibility. By morning, the solution was ready. It worked. The project survived. The manager looked at him and said, "You handled that well. No aplausos, no celebración. Just trust again." And trust was the real reward. Michael understood now. Patience is painful because it changes who you are. You lose the version of yourself that wanted fast results. You gain the version that can wait and work. And once that change happens, there's no going back. Success did not come suddenly. That was the hardest part. After the project began to work, nothing exciting happened. No promotion, no big money, no public praise, only more work. Michael realized something painful. Consistency is boring even after it starts to work. Every morning felt the same. Same desk, same tasks, same quiet effort, and patience began to hurt. One night, Michael sat alone at home, scrolling through his phone. Old classmates were posting photos. New cars, new houses, dream job achieved. His chest felt heavy. 20 years of failure suddenly returned like a wave. A dangerous thought appeared. What if this is all I get? That thought is where many people stop. Not because they are lazy, but because hope becomes tired. Michael almost skipped his routine the next day. Almost. But he remembered something important. Discipline does not promise happiness. It promises direction. So he went to work anyway. Days passed, then weeks. Progress was slow, too slow for the heart, but steady enough for reality. One afternoon, the manager stopped by Michael's desk. "I need you to explain something to the team tomorrow," he said. Michael froze. Public speaking had always terrified him. He had avoided it for years. That night, anxiety returned full force. His mind replayed old failures. Stuttering, forgetting words, looking stupid. He wanted to say no, but then he asked himself one question. If I don't step forward now, when will I? The next day, his hands shook as he stood in front of the room. He spoke slowly, clearly, honestly, not perfect, but real. Something unexpected happened. People listened. One colleague nodded. Another asked a serious question. After the meeting, someone said, "That actually helped." Michael walked back to his desk in silence. Inside, something shifted. Not excitement, not pride, permission. Permission to believe he belonged. That evening, he realized something many people never understand. Late success is not loud. It grows quietly inside you. But patience still tested him. Months later, the project faced a serious problem, a mistake that could cost money. The pressure was heavy. The manager said, "We need a solution by tomorrow." Old Michael would have panicked. New Michael stayed late. He worked through the night, checked details, accepted responsibility. By morning, the solution was ready. It worked. The project survived. The manager looked at him and said, "You handled that well. No aplausos, no celebración. Just trust again." And trust was the real reward. Michael understood now. Patience is painful because it changes who you are. You lose the version of yourself that wanted fast results. You gain the version that can wait and work. And once that change happens, there is no going back. Just when Michael started to feel stable, life tested him again. It always does. The company announced sudden changes. Budgets were cut. Projects were reviewed. Fear quietly returned. One morning, an email arrived with the subject line, "Department Restructuring." Michael's stomach tightened. He had seen this before, years ago, when people were removed like numbers. No explanations, no second chances. That old voice came back. You are still replaceable. For the first time in months, his confidence shook. At work, people whispered. Some avoided eye contact. Others looked angry. Uncertainty spread faster than truth. 2 weeks later, Michael was called into a meeting. No ismail, no small talk. "We may have to let some people go," the manager said carefully. "Nothing is final yet." Michael nodded, calm on the outside, broken inside. That night, he couldn't sleep. He thought about the last 20 years. All the effort, all the patience. A painful question returned. What if it ends like this again? This is where many people emotionally quit, even if they still show up physically. The next days were heavy. Michael still worked, still helped others, still stayed late. But the joy was gone. One evening, he met an old friend for coffee. The friend listened quietly, then asked, "If they fire you tomorrow, would you regret the work you did this year?" Michael thought. "No," he said slowly. "I became stronger." The friend nodded. "Then they can't take that from you." Those words stayed with him. Michael realized something important. Real success is not a job. It's who you become while doing it. A week later, the final decision came. Some people were let go. Michael wasn't one of them. Instead, the manager said, "We need you to take more responsibility, more work, more pressure. No extra pay yet." This time, Michael didn't feel angry. He felt ready. He accepted. But the test wasn't over. The workload doubled. Mistakes became more dangerous. One wrong move could destroy trust. Michael failed once. A small error, but visible. His heart dropped. Old fear screamed, "Here it comes. You messed up." The manager called him in again. Michael didn't defend himself, didn't blame others. He said one sentence. "That mistake is mine. I'll fix it." Silence. Then the manager said, "Good. That's what leaders say." Leader. That word hit him harder than success ever had. For 20 years, Michael waited to feel chosen. But now he understood. You don't get chosen first. You become ready first. That night, he walked home slowly. The city lights felt different. He wasn't celebrating. He was grounded. Because he finally accepted a truth. Late success doesn't protect you from pain. It teaches you how to stand inside it. And once you can stand there, life stops breaking you. Something changed, not in Michael's job, but in how people looked at him. Before, he was the quiet one. Now, he was the reliable one. People started coming to his desk with questions. Not because he was the smartest, but because he stayed calm when others panicked. That calm was earned. Years of failure had trained him to think slowly, to listen more than speak, to act, not react. One afternoon, a younger coworker named Alex approached him. "How do you stay so calm?" Alex asked. "Everyone else is stressed all the time." Michael smiled softly. "I've already lost everything once," he said. After that, fear becomes smaller. Alex didn't fully understand yet, but he would. Leadership doesn't announce itself. It shows up quietly. Meetings changed. Michael spoke less. But when he did, people listened. Not because he was loud, because his words were clean, clear. One day, the manager asked him to mentor 2 new employees. No title, no ceremony, just trust. Michael remembered his younger self. Confused, insecure, desperate to prove something. Now he focused on something else. Progress, not approval. But success has a hidden cost. As Michael grew, some old friends faded. Invitations stopped coming. Messages were shorter. Not out of hate, but distance. They still lived in comfort zones Michael had left. At first, loneliness returned. Quiet dinners, empty weekends. Then he realized something strange. He felt lonely, but not empty. Before, he was surrounded by people and still felt lost. Now he was alone, but centered. That's the difference. One evening, Alex stayed late and watched Michael work. "You never complain," Alex said. "Even when things are hard." Michael looked up. "I complain in my head," he laughed, "but I don't let it drive." That was the lesson no one teaches. Discipline is silent. Consistency is boring. But results are loud. Months passed. Michael wasn't chasing recognition anymore. And that's when recognition found him. His name started appearing in reports. Managers mentioned him in meetings. Not as a star, but as a pillar. One day, a senior director shook his hand. "People trust you," she said. "That's rare." Michael felt proud, but not surprised. He had paid for this moment, with 20 years of patience. But here's the truth few talk about. Late success changes you slowly. There is no explosion, no big celebration, just a quiet understanding. I'm no longer running. That night, Michael sat alone, thinking. He didn't feel rich. He didn't feel famous. He felt solid, like a building that survives storms. And for the first time, he understood. Success didn't arrive late. He arrived late to himself. Michael's life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became stable. For the first time, he stopped waking up with fear. No fear of being replaced. No fear of failing again. No fear of time running out. He accepted something important. Life is not a race. It is a process. Many people around him were still rushing, chasing fast success, jumping from one dream to another. Michael moved slowly, but forward. Every morning, he followed the same routine. Wake up early. Read for 20 minutes. Work without distraction. Go home tired but peaceful. This routine was boring, and that was its power. Patience changed how he saw the world. Before he asked, "When will my life start?" Now he asked, "What can I do well today?" Small focus, small steps, big difference. One weekend, Michael visited his old neighborhood. The same streets, the same coffee shop, the same people complaining about the same problems. Nothing had changed, except him. He listened quietly as an old friend talked about bad luck and unfair life. Michael didn't argue. He remembered being that person, blaming time, blaming others, blaming circumstances. But patience taught him a hard truth. Time doesn't fix life. Actions do. That evening, Michael walked home alone. He felt a mix of sadness and gratitude. Sadness, because many people never leave the loop. Gratitude, because he finally did. Later that night, he opened an old notebook. Inside were goals written years ago. Some were crossed out. Some were forgotten. Some were still alive. He smiled. Not everything came true, but he had grown stronger than his dreams. That was unexpected. Success didn't give him confidence. Struggle did. Late success is different. It doesn't make you loud. It makes you quietly proud. Michael no longer needed applause. He trusted himself, and that trust felt better than praise. He closed the notebook and turned off the light. Tomorrow would look similar to today, and that was okay, because now he knew consistency builds peace. Patience builds power, and power, when earned slowly, never disappears. Michael thought the hardest years were behind him. He was wrong. Life always tests you one last time. Just when things felt stable, trouble appeared again. The company faced problems. Budgets were cut. Jobs were at risk. Fear returned quietly. Not like before. Not loud and paralyzing. This fear was calm, cold, real. Michael sat at his desk late one evening. The office was empty. Lights off. Silence everywhere. He asked himself a difficult question. If I lose this again, who am I? Years ago, the answer would be simple. I am a failure. Now it was different. He realized something powerful. His identity no longer depended on results. It depended on discipline, patience, and effort. Even if the job ended, those qualities would stay. That was growth. A week later, his manager called him in. The decision was made. Some people would leave. Michael listened without emotion. Not because he didn't care, but because he trusted himself. When the meeting ended, he walked outside. The air felt heavy, but his mind was clear. No panique. No anger. Only responsibility. That night, he updated his resume. Not with fear, with honesty. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't lie. He wrote about skills built over years of struggle. About patience. About reliability. About quiet leadership. 2 weeks later, an email arrived. A new opportunity. Not flashy. Not perfect, but stable and respectful. Michael smiled. Late success teaches you something early success never can. You don't beg life anymore. You choose. The final test wasn't about money or position. It was about who he became under pressure. And this time, he passed.